So the quarter wheel is 4 elective classes that our 6th graders are allowed to take. We decided to bring that back to the middle school because we felt like 6th graders needed a choice. They needed to explore all their options before we locked them down into semester 1 classes. 6th grade's our first year in the middle school, and so it's a big transition year for them. And so making a decision right away about wanting to be in the STEM track or the art class or band or anything like that was a big decision. So we wanted to give them some options.
So the quarter wheel gives me a couple of weeks to work with the 6th graders. It allows me to emphasize a lot of the elements and the principles of art over time so they're able to understand how basic components go into sum up to a piece. Okay. Like drawing, you can start with a line, you can start with shapes, color, and how they all combine to create meaning within their art. So it's pretty straightforward in basic form. It's a lot of pencil on paper, a lot of learning how their tools work. One project that I like to do with the 6th graders is to start the flower in the center of the page with 7 petals and label it with the 7 elements of the arts, and have each section of the page around it devoted to essentially either the same or different photo using primarily that one element.
So 6th grade is introductory to family and consumer science, and what we focus on, or what I focus on, 2 units basically, cooking and sewing. And for their cooking unit, they focus on reading a recipe and learning how to do measurements. So they get a little bit of introduction to fractions of measures. And then we have somewhere 3 or 4 labs that we do where they get to show me that they get to demonstrate that they can do the measuring and they can do it properly. We have a little bit of safety and sanitation, of course, mainly being able to wash hands and wash dishes. That's their focus in 6th grade. We go on from that, then in our cooking or sewing unit, we make small pillows. And I have focused on emoji pillows in the past. They have to choose what kind of a character face they're going to put on it. And then they learn how to do basic sewing stitches.
Within a quarter of a health, there's 5 different units I try to cover. The first one we start with is bullying, because a lot of kids go through different situations, and then we move into what health actually is, like what it all entails. And then we hit a little bit on mental emotional health, so they understand, like, when they get to middle school, they're going to get stressed. What can they do if they lose somebody or something? They can understand what to do with those. And then we talk about the wonderful puberty, the different changes that their bodies are going to go through in 6th grade. That's usually our longer unit because I really focus on so the kids really understand. It's also my favorite unit to teach because they get the whole light bulb, like, oh my God, that makes sense. I got that. And then depending on time, I also have safety precautions that we talk about, like what do you do when you're out alone, or which way do you look when you cross the road, and then that's pretty much it.
So the class that we teach is called Design and Modeling, and it's through the Project Lead the Way curriculum. And it's basically just a general overview of all the different STEM classes that we offer. They get a little bit of everything in this one. They mainly focus on engineering, and then of course designing, as in drawing pictures out, models, and all that kind of stuff. So we go from creating a boot for a child who has spastic hemiplegia and can't walk correctly, so they just use regular craft materials and build a shoe. We actually then talk about the design process and how we have to follow this kind of process to get through everything. We then move on to 3D drawings. So we focus on using unit cubes and putting everything in a model so that way they can see the 3D model, and then they sketch it out into multiple views onto paper. We then go back and learn measurement on the ruler. We go back over the imperial system, and we also go through the metric system. We then make it's called a skimmer car. It's basically a paper race car made out of a file folder. And then from there, we usually go into 3D printing. So once we learn about how to draw in 3D on paper and we learn how to measure on paper, then we move over to the computer part of it all. So we start off by making a name tag, and then we eventually go into making puzzle pieces. I really like the quarter wheel. I did miss it when we didn't have it. It lets me see all the kids. I think that's important, that especially when you have the kids for 3 years in a row like that. And a lot of the kids will say, oh, I definitely want to take your class. And then you have a lot of kids who are like, I'm never doing this again. And that's okay, because at least by 6th grade, they kind of figure it out.
So this gives the 6th graders a chance to come in, experience a little bit of everything, know what they would be signing up for. So going forward, I think it has a lot of opportunity to let the kids know what they're doing, know what they want to do, and explore that even further, which is what exploratory is supposed to be, exploring.